Today, we're reviewing the fantasy drama Powder. Get ready for incredible plot twists. A pregnant woman who had just been struck by lightning was brought to the hospital. Unfortunately, she could not be saved, but she managed to give birth to an albino boy. The father asked to see his newborn, who was placed in an incubator. A device that measures brain waves shows too much activity. The man said that it was not his son and started to cry. Some time passed. The strange boy was raised by his grandparents, but they died. It turned out that the albino was kept in the basement. Sheriff Barnum invited a child psychologist, Jesse Caldwell, to come here. Neighbors say that the boy is mentally retarded and in general, some kind of abnormal. Perhaps the old people were hiding him from everyone for a reason. The sheriff and the psychologist went down to the basement. The boy was sitting in the dark and said in a calm voice that his name was Powder. Finally, the boy appeared. Jeremy Reed, that's the guy's real name. The sheriff could not take his eyes off such an unusual person. Jeremy says he can stay outside as long as the sun is not too high. He has a painful sensitivity to light. Sometimes even dark glasses do not help. Powder never went to school, although he loves to read. He has a phenomenal memory. The guy asked Jesse to name any page in the book, and he told him exactly what was written there from memory. He knows by heart all the books in his considerable collection. Powder, wearing dark glasses and an old grandfatherly suit, left the basement. As he walked past the police cars, a siren suddenly went off. Only now did the sheriff notice that the roof of the house had lightning rods. The deputy said that the body of the deceased grandfather was saturated with electricity, as if he had been in fibrillation. Jesse brought Powder to the small town. She works in a boarding school for boys and is going to keep the boy here. The unusual boy attracted the attention of the other boys who were playing soccer. Jesse tells a colleague that Jeremy behaves like a stupid child who does not know anything about the world. In the cafeteria, Jeremy eats separately from the others. Of course, the local bullies could not ignore him. They sat down with him and asked him why he looked like a vampire. Jeremy tried to ignore their leader, John, but he took his food and said that all newcomers are tested. Namely, they have to hold the spoon on the tip of their nose, like Mitch. Powder took the spoon, rubbed it, and left it on the table. The other cutlery was immediately magnetized to it. Everyone in the dining room was very surprised. Then another spoon appeared, and dancing, it jumped to the other spoons, destroying the whole structure. Powder smiled, but John looked at him with an unkind look. The sheriff has a difficult relationship with his son, and his wife Emma is terminally ill and in severe pain. The whole town is already talking about the unusual guy. The nurse shared her opinion as well. The doctor examined Jeremy and said that he was absolutely healthy. Soon, he will receive special lenses to protect his eyes from bright light. Jesse suggested that he go to a local school, and he agreed. Jeremy received his lenses, and when he got off the bus, all the students immediately began to look at him in surprise. The physics class is taught by an eccentric teacher named Donald Ripley. He shows a device called Jacob's Ladder. This device was invented to demonstrate electric current. Electric arcs appear one after another and cause Powder discomfort. He shakes all over, and the metal objects around him jump and deform. Suddenly, electricity began to pass through Jeremy. The boy was lifted into the air and stayed there until Donald broke the device. The teacher touched the boy, and an electric current passed through his body. Reporters gathered near the hospital where Jeremy was admitted, but the sheriff did not allow them to enter the ward. The doctor said that Jeremy has no signs of electric shock. He feels great, although a huge hole has been burned in his sweater. The teacher concluded that Jeremy is an electrician, which is why his hair does not grow. Meanwhile, Powder escaped from the hospital. He walked down the street until his classmate's dog started barking at him. Lindsay is surprised that the boy recovered so quickly. She noticed that Jeremy has beautiful eye color, but he immediately took off the lens, which confused her a little. All the neighbors stare at Powder. He admits that he can listen to people from the inside, all their thoughts and memories. But Lindsay did not take his words seriously. Jeremy walked back to his house, but the sheriff blocked his way. He feels that the deputy is afraid of him. He says he doesn't want to go back to the orphanage, and he can't stay in the hospital anymore either. His worst memories are connected with this place. Meanwhile, a professor arrived from the Ministry of Education. The fact is that Jeremy passed an IQ test with a phenomenal result. The interesting thing is that he got all his knowledge from books. He is not allowed to watch TV because all the equipment next to him breaks down and he feels sick. Tests have shown that Jeremy has the highest level of development in the history of mankind, but the boy doesn't care. The only thing he wants is to return to the farm. He also knows that the professor really thinks he's a fraud and came here just to prove it. Jeremy got angry, and all the equipment around him broke down. The boys from the boarding school went on a hike under the supervision of the sheriff and his assistant. Powder did not want to go. A thunderstorm was approaching, and he could feel it with his whole body. In the past, lightning killed his mother. He personally remembers how it happened. In the forest, all the lizards that were nearby came running to Jeremy. He also felt Mitch and John coming up to him from behind. John had a rifle in his hands and was aiming at Jeremy, but suddenly he heard a shot from a sheriff's deputy. He killed the deer, and he was very happy about it. The animal was dying. Jeremy touched the deer and grabbed the hunter's hand. He made the killer feel what his victim was feeling. The man fell to the ground and screamed in pain. Jeremy let go of him only when John had almost killed him. This pain and suffering was passed on to Powder. Jeremy told the sheriff and the psychologist that he did not attack the hunter. He just helped him see the light and realize what he was doing. And he doesn't want to see anyone else, not even Jesse, who only pretends to be his friend. The guy smashed his office with his mind. All he wants is to go home. The doctor suggests that the sheriff take his wife back to the hospital, but she asks to stay at home. She's hopeless, but Barnum can't let her go. Upset, Jeremy sat alone in the dining room in the evening. A physicist approached him. Donald is fascinated by the unusual student. He thinks that the boy is almost entirely made up of energy, and his mind is at a level of development that is millennia away. He is like a messenger from the future. Donald offered to become his friend and extended his hand to Jeremy. The boy decided to show his teacher a magic trick and electrified him, but his grandparents were always afraid to touch him. The sheriff's deputy changed a lot. He threw all his weapons out of the house and refused to participate in the shooting competition. He even stopped carrying a weapon at work. The man admits that when Jeremy touched his arm, he felt wild fear and pain. It was as if he was dying with the deer. Since then, he has not been able to hunt anymore. At night, the sheriff came to Jeremy and asked him to go to his house. Barnum wanted to know what his wife Emma was thinking and feeling. Jeremy relays her thoughts. The woman will not be able to die in peace until she learns that her husband and son have reconciled. Emma believes that Jeremy is an angel who has crossed over to take her away. The woman asked to put her old silver ring on her finger. For a short while, she even regained consciousness. Meanwhile, the anxious nurse called the sheriff's son to come over as soon as possible. The father came out and hugged his son tightly. Finally, Emma was able to go to heaven in peace. Jeremy came to the town fair. As usual, everyone stared at him. Powder reads people's minds. They think he just destroyed Emma. He tells Lindsay that all people think they live apart from everything, but each of them is a part of this world. Jeremy touched Lindsay and let her feel his heartbeat, read his thoughts, and plunge into his memories. His father thought Jeremy was ugly and always denied that he was his son. But according to Lindsay, he has the most beautiful face in the world. The girl kissed Jeremy, but they were interrupted by her father, who attacked the boy. Jesse managed to intervene before the man could get his hands on her. Powder felt like the loneliest person in the world again. He was not going to stay at the boarding school any longer. He packed his things and was about to leave for the farm, but decided to go to the gym again and watch the other boys. There he saw Sky in the shower. For this, John began to mock the boy and took his hat. Suddenly, Jeremy said the words that his drunken stepfather had said to John. His stepfather had beaten John all his childhood, so he grew up so angry. The big man got angry and pushed Powder against the wall. Suddenly, there was a clap of thunder. The scoundrel saw that Jeremy was frightened by this, and with his friends, he dragged him outside. Only Mitch is trying to stand up for Powder, but John is not going to stop. He stripped the poor guy naked and began to mock him. Later, John pushed Jeremy into a muddy puddle. After that, the two fools picked him up. Lightning struck right above them. The powder began to attract all the metal objects the hooligans were wearing. Suddenly, Jeremy seemed to explode with energy and scattered everyone in all directions. The guys got to their feet and John's heart stopped. Powder went over to him and began to beat his chest with electric charges to get his heart going again. Jeremy managed to do it. Mitch promised that he would help him escape from the orphanage. Jeremy hid in the car and drove it to the farm. He finally got home and went down to the basement. Soon, Jessie came here and found the boy in a completely empty room. Everything the boy had ever owned had been taken from there. She promises Jeremy that if he comes with her, they will definitely figure something out. Donald volunteered to help them, but they didn't have time to escape. The police arrived. Jessie asks the sheriff to just turn away and let them escape. Thunder rolled again. The sheriff took his partners aside and ordered him to get out of here. For some reason, Jeremy did not get in the car with Jessie. He told the sheriff that his wife hadn't gone anywhere. She's everywhere. Powder ran into the field, arms outstretched. Suddenly, lightning struck right at him. Jeremy ran and was filled with energy until he dissolved in a bright flash of light. A powerful impulse passed through the people. Powder became part of the whole world. It turned into pure energy, which no longer needed a human shell. Thank you for being with us. Subscribe to the channel, like us, and be sure to click on the bell to stay up to date with our new videos.